The cargo pod split open like a cracked egg, throwing the loading bay into instant chaos. David Cole's hands were buried in the atmospheric processor when the explosion rattled the walls. Grease smeared on his fingers. He pulled back and saw purple emergency lights sweeping the corridors. Alarms blared in alien tongues before switching to galactic common. Something had escaped. David grabbed his toolkit and sprinted for the main corridor, but a Quillen security officer blocked him. One furry hand raised, terror etched across his face. "Stay back, human." Ravenclaw breach. Lockdown in 30 seconds. David frowned, recalling the rumors Ravenclaws were deadly predators, their cubs alone responsible for more deaths than some wars across 17 star systems. Fast, intelligent, and strong enough to rid doors. They were nightmares in scaled form. The blast doors began to slide shut. David had maybe 20 seconds to reach safety, yet he pulled up the security feed on his handheld. The creature was small, probably a juvenile, but terrifyingly fast. Its black and violet scales shimmered under emergency lights. 6 glowing amber eyes tracked the chaos. Four springy legs and a whip-like tail tore through a cargo handler's storage unit like paper. Then David noticed the limpet's right rear leg drag, leaving a dark smear. It wasn't hunting. It was hurt and scared. The blast door sealed in front of him. Section 7 was locked down, and the Ravenclaw was 2 sections away. His communicator buzzed. Commander Brent's voice tense. "All personnel remain sealed. Wildlife control arrives in 6 hours." David studied the feed again. The cub lay in an abandoned storage bay, favoring its injured side. "Commander, this thing's hurt. Scared, not aggressive," David said. Silence followed. Then Brent's stressed reply. "Cole, stay put. Ravenclaws have killed trained hunters. You don't get it." David understood the fear, but also knew animals weren't mindless killers. Calm makes predators manageable. Pulling out his multi-tool, he unscrewed the wall panel hiding the manual blast door override. One lever could open the door, ignoring the lockdown. If he was wrong, he'd die. If he was right, the cub could survive. David took a deep breath and threw the lever. The door groaned open. Ahead, the dim corridor smelled of rust and old plastic. The Ravenclaw waited. The cub's 6 amber eyes locked onto him. Its body coiled, rumbling, not a growl, just a warning. David lowered himself 15 feet away and spoke softly. "Nobody here is gonna hurt you." Minutes passed. He pulled out his ration pack, eating a strip and pushing another toward the cub. Hunger won over fear. The Ravenclaw limped forward, took the food, and retreated slightly closer than before. David offered water in his hand. The cub lapped it cautiously. The body slowly relaxed, rumbling soft vibrations instead of aggression. He whistled an old tune, a calming rhythm from his livestock days. The Ravenclaw inched closer with each note. 6 feet away, David extended a relaxed hand. The cub sniffed, then pressed its massive head into his palm, purring. David scratched behind its ear ridge. 3 hours passed in that abandoned bay. The cub, now called Runner, lay beside him, trusting completely. His communicator crackled Brent's panicked voice. "Wildlife control has early authorization to terminate. Get out now." David cut him off. "Hold fire. It's calm that IT won't attack." Officer Gillis Reed, head of Galactic Wildlife Control, arrived with armed officers. Runner positioned herself between David and the threat, defensive but calm. David stepped fully in front, daring them to shoot. Brent intervened. "Stand down while we assess." David broadcasted to the station and beyond. "This is a Ravenclaw cub, hurt, scared, not a mindless killer. Watch what happens when treated with patience instead of fear." The officers lowered weapons, or replacing tension. Medical supplies arrived. David cleaned and sealed Runner's wounds carefully, keeping her calm. Over the next 20 hours, he established routines, feeding, rest, and gentle training. She responded quickly, learning commands, building trust, and showing intelligence beyond expectations. Her limp improved. Slowly, the cub moved with more confidence, testing boundaries, and following David's lead. 3 months later, David stood in a training facility at Outer Rim Wildlife Sanctuary. Runner lay beside him, now healthy, strong, and twice her initial size. Understanding beats fear, he told a room full of wildlife officers. She performed complex sequences, interacting gently with trainees, and even played during breaks. The galaxy watched via news feeds and broadcasts. Scientists requested access, and other stations sought guidance on non-lethal handling. David emphasized observation, patience, and clear communication. He explained that fear escalates aggression, while calm fosters cooperation. Runner was living proof. Commander Brent and Officer Reed arrived one evening. "You did it, David," Brent said. Reed, surprisingly softened, added, "I owe you an apology. You proved there's a way besides termination." David smiled at Runner, who chirped softly in agreement. "And the galaxy is learning that too," he said. Reed nodded. "We'll develop new protocols. You'll be the consultant." David looked down at Runner, who nudged his hand affectionately. "Yeah, we're very interested," he added. Over the following weeks, David taught non-lethal methods, emphasizing patience, observation, and communication. Runner became both student and teacher, demonstrating cooperation to officers who had only known fear. At night, Runner curled beside David, purring softly. Fear creates monsters, but patience creates allies. Sometimes, courage changes the galaxy, he whispered. The twin suns set beyond the station's windows, promising a future of hope, understanding, and unexpected friendships. In the following weeks, David led structured exercises for new trainees, simulating containment, feeding, and trust-building scenarios. Every approach emphasized non-aggression. Officers practiced reading cues, offering food, and speaking in calm tones. They learned to anticipate the cub's needs rather than react impulsively. Gradually, confidence replaced fear. The Outer Rim Wildlife Sanctuary expanded its programs. More cubs were rescued, treated, and trained under David's philosophy. Communication strategies, dietary routines, and rehabilitation methods were standardized. Trainees documented each encounter, compiling data for research and galactic broadcasts. The success of Runner became a case study, demonstrating that dangerous wildlife could coexist with humans if approached carefully. Across star systems, news spread. Other stations implemented pilot programs using David's methods, observing reduced fatalities and increased cooperation. Empathy began replacing reflexive fear as a standard approach. David emphasized incremental trust building. Each session was measured, small movements, soft speech, controlled feeding, and patient observation. The cub's responses dictated the pace. Officers learned that aggression often resulted from misunderstanding, and minor adjustments could prevent escalation. Runner's development was carefully logged, response to voice cues, comfort with proximity, and interaction with objects. Each successful interaction reinforced the principle that patience and understanding shaped behavior more effectively than intimidation. Officer morale improved alongside animal compliance. Galactic Council representatives visited to observe firsthand. They witnessed demonstrations of calm, non-lethal handling and cooperative training. David explained behavioral patterns, body language, and injury recovery processes. Delegates from diverse species watched as cubs performed sequences, engaged in problem-solving, and followed commands without fear. Observers were astonished by the cub's intelligence and responsiveness. David emphasized that results were rooted not in exotic technology but in understanding, patience, and consistent care. The principle transcended species. Fear inhibits progress, calm enables it. Media coverage amplified David's methods. Holofeeds showcased Runner performing complex tasks and interacting safely with officers. The galaxy took note. Requests for advice, consultations, and training modules poured in. David created structured manuals, detailing step-by-step protocols for injury treatment, trust building, feeding schedules, and command sequences. Each guideline reinforced the central philosophy: treat injured predators with empathy, and cooperation replaces hostility. Outreach programs encouraged remote stations to replicate successes, gradually reshaping interstellar wildlife management norms. Trainees observed the importance of body language. Every movement mattered: head tilts, tail flicks, vocalizations. David demonstrated how subtle gestures conveyed intent. Officers practiced matching calm energy and respecting personal space. Missteps could provoke defensive reactions, but corrections reinforced trust. Runner became a teacher as well. She recognized repeated cues and responded predictably, providing officers direct feedback. Watching her learn and adapt was proof that intelligence and empathy could coexist. Observing, responding, and adjusting became a cycle that built mutual understanding. Beyond immediate training, David integrated rehabilitation with environmental enrichment. Play structures, obstacle courses, and scent trails kept cubs engaged. Stimulation encouraged cognitive growth and reduced stress. Officers monitored progress, noting behavioral changes, problem-solving ability, and social interactions. Data showed fewer incidents and faster recovery compared to traditional containment. Each exercise reinforced patience, trust, and respect. Officer confidence grew as predictable outcomes replaced anxiety. The cubs thrived, and the facility became a model for interstellar wildlife management, balancing safety with empathy. Weekly evaluations assessed both animals and trainees. David reviewed logs, analyzing responses to commands, stress signals, and feeding protocols. Adjustments were made to training intensity, reward frequency, and human proximity. Officer skill development mirrored animal progress. Trainees learned to think critically, anticipate reactions, and maintain emotional control. Emotional intelligence became as important as technical proficiency. The relationship between humans and cubs exemplified symbiosis, understanding enhanced safety, and consistent care reinforced trust. The facility's philosophy gained recognition across the galaxy, public education initiatives expanded. Holo broadcasts explained non-lethal methods, highlighting successful rehabilitation of Runner and other cubs. Families and civilian officers learned that aggression could be mitigated through patience. Demonstrations emphasized visual cues, body language, and careful feeding. By showcasing tangible results, the program reduced panic responses across colonies. Communities became better equipped to interact safely with escaped or injured wildlife. Fear-based reflexes decreased, replaced with informed calm and strategic observation. Humanity's approach began influencing cross-species protocols. David coordinated interstation communication. Data on cub behavior, recovery rates, and officer performance were shared, forming a galactic repository. Feedback loops allowed improvements to protocols, facilitating iterative refinement. Each successful case reinforced the philosophy of trust over fear. Officer retention improved, injury rates declined, and public confidence increased. Other predators, previously considered unmanageable, were gradually approached using similar principles. David's methods became standard references, proving that measured, empathetic handling could save lives while maintaining security. Runner's intelligence continued to astonish. She learned sequences combining physical agility with cognitive problem-solving. Officers witnessed her predict outcomes, adapt to new scenarios, and even communicate subtle preferences. Interaction protocols evolved to include collaborative tasks, requiring humans and cubs to work together. David emphasized that mutual respect, rather than domination, maximized safety and efficiency. Demonstrations inspired confidence in trainees and observers. The message was clear: predators are not inherently malicious, fear and mismanagement create unnecessary danger. David reflected on philosophy: fear creates monsters, patience fosters allies. Each cub's growth mirrored officer development. Observation, careful engagement, and calm authority formed a replicable model. Protocols standardized the approach across stations, ensuring consistency and safety. Media coverage highlighted successes, inspiring further adoption. Civilian education emphasized respect for wildlife, reinforcing empathy across species. The philosophy became intertwined with practical training, research, and public outreach. The galaxy began recognizing that courage combined with understanding could reshape human-wildlife relations. In the facility, training rooms simulated various emergency scenarios. Cub reactions were monitored, stress indicators recorded, and officer responses adjusted. David emphasized adaptability, teaching officers to read the animal's mood and act accordingly. Runner excelled in simulations, responding to subtle cues and adjusting behavior dynamically. Each training session reinforced the importance of patience. Observers noted that proactive understanding reduced incidents, compared to reactive force. The model highlighted cooperation over aggression, proving that even dangerous species could coexist safely with informed humans. Routine inspections maintained habitat safety. David worked with officers to check enclosures, enrichment devices, and emergency protocols. Each inspection reinforced the connection between structured environment and animal behavior. Stress was minimized through consistency, while curiosity and engagement were encouraged. Trainer-cub interactions emphasized calm, predictable behavior. Data showed consistent improvement in health, cooperation, and responsiveness. These practices became templates for other stations dealing with potentially lethal species. Knowledge transfer increased efficiency and reduced accidental harm. Cross-species workshops emerged, bringing together trainees from multiple planets. Observers noted differences in predator behavior across environments. David taught adaptive strategies, emphasizing core principles: patience, observation, and communication. Cultural sensitivity and interstellar norms were integrated. Exercises included non-lethal restraint, trust-building games, and feeding routines. Participants learned to respect the animal's agency, avoiding panic-driven responses. Runner participated actively, demonstrating the value of cooperative engagement. The workshops showcased practical success and philosophical impact simultaneously. Community outreach programs educated civilians, promoting understanding over fear. Schools and civilian colonies received demonstrations and training sessions. Children and adults learned safe interaction techniques, including feeding, observing cues, and avoiding provocation. Media coverage highlighted positive outcomes, showing healed cubs interacting safely with humans. The galaxy gradually adopted these methods, reducing unnecessary casualties. David's approach influenced not only trained officers but also broader societal perspectives on wildlife. Understanding replaced panic, trust replaced aggression, and safety improved universally. Research initiatives expanded. Scientists studied cognitive development, stress indicators, and cooperative behavior. Data collected from Runner and other cubs informed broader ecological studies. Findings revealed that intelligent predators, when approached with patience, could respond predictably and safely. Published reports emphasized the correlation between empathy and safety. Officer and cub welfare improved concurrently. The research provided a template for ethical interaction with dangerous species across the galaxy, influencing policy, training, and habitat design. David oversaw integration of findings into daily practice. Advanced training incorporated problem-solving and cooperative tasks. Cub and officer teams navigated obstacle courses, solved puzzles, and executed coordinated maneuvers. Each activity required careful attention to cues and measured responses. David emphasized reward-based motivation, showing that trust reinforced compliance more effectively than fear. Observers documented results, noting reduced stress and increased engagement. The program demonstrated that high-intelligence predators could participate in structured exercises safely, provided interactions prioritized understanding. Runner became the standard example for teaching. Emergency simulations tested scalability. Multiple cubs and officers managed simultaneous scenarios, combining learned protocols under pressure. Stress responses were monitored, adjustments made, and lessons logged. The iterative process refined non-lethal methods, highlighting effectiveness in real-world crises. David emphasized communication channels, anticipatory observation, and patient intervention. Results consistently demonstrated that properly trained teams could manage predators safely without force. Success reinforced the philosophy: fear-based approaches escalate danger, while measured pat media campaigns highlighted the humane methodology, showcasing David and Runner as ambassadors. Public perception shifted, reducing panic-driven reactions across colonies. Holofeeds featured tutorials, case studies, and demonstrations. Observers from multiple systems adopted the approach, creating a network of informed, patient handlers. David emphasized cross-cultural adaptation, ensuring strategies respected local conditions and species behaviors. The model's success fostered interstellar dialogue, promoting ethical treatment, collaboration, and reduced casualties in wildlife management. Jens ensures cooperation. David reflected on his journey. Runner had grown into a confident, intelligent predator capable of complex interactions. Officers had evolved alongside her, learning restraint, observation, and empathy. Policies now emphasized understanding over aggression. The galaxy began embracing the principle that patience changes outcomes. David's work became a standard for interstellar wildlife management. Training modules replicated across stations, and media highlighted successful integrations. Fear had been replaced with knowledge, reactive force replaced by careful engagement, setting a precedent for generations. At night, David sat beside Runner, both watching twin suns set beyond the station's windows. She chirped softly, nudging his hand, a symbol of trust and cooperation. "Fear creates monsters, but patience creates allies," he whispered. "Courage changes the galaxy." The facility hummed with life, trainees learning, animals thriving, and interstellar communities adapting. Hope, understanding, and compassion stretched across star systems. The galaxy was not perfect, but for the first time, it had a model where dangerous predators could coexist with humans through empathy, observation, and patience. The future, David realized, was bright, grounded in trust and careful understanding.